Welcome to Let's Talk Democracy. I'm Tina Johnson, your host. Join me as we talk to the people on the front lines, the change makers and activists who are building a stronger, healthier democracy for all of us. Whether you're looking for expert advice, a new perspective, or just a little inspiration, this is where you'll find it. In today's episode, When Fear Feels Like Truth, I want to talk about something that's shaping politics all over the world. We're living through a global wave of authoritarian populism, rising in country after country. And underneath that wave is something deeper, something more dangerous, a crisis of perception. It's a moment where emotion feels more real than facts, where misinformation travels faster than truth, and where fear becomes a political strategy. So today, I want to talk about what authoritarian populism really is, how the crisis of perception fuels it, what we're seeing around the world, and most importantly, what we can do right here, right now, to push back. Let's get into it. Authoritarian populism can sound like a fancy political science term, but here's the simple version. It's when leaders claim, I alone can fix it, attack anyone who challenges them, and divide society into the real people versus the enemies. It's about emotion, identity, and fear. It's not about policy. And it's not limited to one country. When leaders erode checks and balances or attack civic norms, democracy weakens. There are examples of this globally. In Hungary, Orban limited courts and media freedom. Turkey, Erdogan undermined judicial independence. India, Modi's policies challenged free press and minority protections. Brazil, Bolsonaro questioned electoral legitimacy. The Philippines, Duarte cracked down on dissent. Russia, Putin controlled narratives to maintain political dominance. In the U.S., Trump has questioned elections, eroded trust in institutions, and used disinformation to polarize citizens. Different languages, different histories, same playbook. Authoritarian populists don't just change laws. They change perception, making fear feel like fact. And this causes this crisis of perception in democracy. And it's a killer because it undermines trust, the foundation of self-governance. Globally, we have seen this in Brazil with misinformation on WhatsApp, which threatened confidence in elections. In Kenya, deepfakes misrepresented candidates. In Germany, migration fears were exploited to polarize voters. In Indonesia, religious identity was manipulated for political gain. In the U.S., social media campaigns and polarizing rhetoric have fueled distrust in elections, institutions, and even science. Authoritarian populists understand if you control how people feel, you don't need to control what they know. Why are citizens so vulnerable? It's not because people are irrational. No, they're just responding to insecurity and inequality the rapid social changes that are occurring, corruption, and the uncertainty about the future. When life feels unpredictable, simple explanations feel really comforting. Authoritarian populists offer clarity through fear. They say things like, "It's not your fault, it's them." "Don't trust the institutions, trust me." "Everything you fear, I'll fix it." And that's exactly what we've seen in the U.S., Brazil, Hungary, India, and beyond. The patterns repeat because fear is universally persuasive. So we have this breakdown in democracy when perception wins, when fear and misinformation dominate perception. Citizens distrust elections. Courts and media lose legitimacy. Civic norms erode. Polarization intensifies. Examples of this are Turkey and Hungary. Criticism is framed as betrayal. India, journalists face harassment. Brazil, doubts about election integrity. In Russia, propaganda creates parallel realities. In the U.S., election distrust and deep polarization threaten democratic stability. Democracy depends on shared facts, while authoritarianism thrives on shared fear. Democracy persists when citizens resist authoritarianism and reinforce civic norms. Like in South Korea, mass protests ousted a corrupt president. Slovakia, public outrage after a journalist's murder led to reform. Poland, voter turnout protected judicial independence. Chile, grassroots movements led to constitutional reform. In Brazil, civil society used community networks and media literacy to counter misinformation. In the U.S., grassroots activism, election monitoring, and civic engagement have pushed back against authoritarian pressures and disinformation campaigns. These victories show that democracy can bend, but it doesn't have to break. So how can we strengthen democracy? Here's what history and research teach us. 1, community beats isolation. Democracy thrives when people come together. 2, truth needs storytellers. Facts don't spread themselves. Neighbors, friends, and family are key. 3, courage is contagious. Small acts of resistance inspire others. 4, participation matters. Voting, organizing, and showing up matter more than ever. And 5, conversations matter more than arguments. People rarely change minds through shame. They change when they feel seen. Globally, these are the ways democracy endures. It's not automatic, but through citizen action. And my personal reflection on this is that democracy doesn't collapse overnight. It erodes in small ways. Lies tolerated, criticism silenced, civic norms ignored. We have to remember that authoritarianism doesn't arrive in tanks. It arrives slowly. In jokes we don't challenge, lies we let slide, neighbors we stop talking to, cynicism we accept as normal. But democracy thrives when citizens come together, they act courageously, and speak with truth. Every conversation, every act of civic responsibility strengthens it. If you learn nothing else from this podcast, I hope you've learned this. Democracy isn't inevitable. Neither is authoritarianism. Both depend on what we choose every day. So here's an invitation I have for you all. Where can you bring more clarity, courage, or connection in your community? Where can you participate to protect shared truth and democratic institutions? Authoritarian populism grows in silence. Democracy grows in participation. Every conversation you start, every truth you protect, every time you choose community over fear, you widen the light of democracy. Let me leave you with this. Democracy doesn't decline the same way everywhere, but it's rebuilt the same way everywhere, through people choosing connection over division, truth over comfort, and courage over fear. From Warsaw to Seoul, Sao Paulo to Berlin, the world is telling us that democracy can bend, but it doesn't have to break, and neither do we. Thank you for listening to the episode today. I hope that you enjoyed it, and if so, please share with someone you care about, start a conversation, remind someone that democracy is something we build together every day. Subscribe, and as usual, you can send me an email with any comments, questions, or your own reflections to tina@patternchangelab.com. Talk to you soon.